Hello world, Shelly here, and today I've got for you your Friday foundation fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. Today I've got a foundation from a Japanese luxury brand, Shiseido. This is the Lasting Liquid Foundation, and this retails for $45. You get 1 fluid ounce of product in a bottle that's almost as tall as your head. This comes in 11 shades. I've got this in the shade Neutral 2, so the shade range is fairly limited. They are all in the light to light medium spectrum. This foundation has SPF 20. It is a combo chemical and mineral sunscreen. This comes in 11 different shades. I've got it in the shade Neutral 2. All of the shades are in the light to light medium end of the spectrum. I'm on Sephora's website. It's currently getting about 4.3 out of 5 stars with just over 200 reviews as of today. It's described as an innovative, oil-free, long-lasting foundation with medium, buildable coverage that beautifully enhances your complexion by harmonizing with your skin for a natural-looking finish. Flawlessly undetectable, airy, silky on the skin, maintains skin clarity, minimizes shine, minimizes creasing, minimizes fading. Advanced sensing technology dynamically synchronizes with your skin's unique condition for a beautiful looking complexion. No parabens, no sulfates, no phthalates. This is not a cruelty-free brand. They claim that they do not test their products on animals except where required by law, and they do sell in mainland China, which requires animal testing, so they are not cruelty-free. Interesting side note, this brand was founded in 1872, making them one of the oldest beauty brands in the world. The way their shades work, they've got 3 different color undertones: neutral, rose, and golden. Neutral being neutral, rose being a cool undertone, and golden being a warm undertone. And then they just number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the lightness to darkness, with the lower the number being the lighter the shade. So I've got neutral 2. Let's take a look and swatch this against some of the other foundations I've got in my collection. Alrighty, let's swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Liquid Foundation in shade Neutral 2. Next is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone, which I would say is about the same lightness to darkness, but slightly cool undertone. Third is the MAC Studio Sculpt in NW15, also their cool undertone. Fourth is the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in shade Light 44 Cool. And last up is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion in shade 1C1 Shell, which I would say is a more neutral, leaning, warm undertone. I am starting out with a 43-year-old face. I've got some sun damage and some texture, especially on this side of my face, that I like to cover up. Wear your sunscreen every single day. I avoided the sun for the past 25 years, but driving to work every day, I got sun. I was not wearing sunscreen. Wear your sunscreen every day. Then you won't have one side of your face with trouble that you need to cover up. I also have some fine lines around my smile lines and my forehead. I do have larger pores around my cheeks and my chin and the center of my eyebrows. This also has a little bit of texture that likes to be troublesome for foundations. I generally have dry skin this time of year with my current skincare routine. I would say my skin is pretty normal, but it can tend to be dry if the conditions are suitable for dryness. So that is what we are starting out with. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened my face. I have primed with the Strivectin Anti-Wrinkle Line Blur Fector. I love this stuff. I am dying to try out my ThaTaylaa primer, but for reviews, I like to use a primer that I have experience with, so that whatever is happening, the only, unique product on my face is the foundation. So it would be attributed to that and not to some, new primer product, and then I don't know what caused the issue. So we are going to stick with the Strivectin for today. I'm going to go in on one side of my face with a sponge. This is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. On the other side, I will use a brush. This is my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and we'll see if there is a preference one way or the other. Their instructions don't imply that one way or the other would be better. They just say to shake the product very well. So I'm shaking. This is seriously the tallest freaking bottle I've ever seen. It's just wild. Look how tall this pump is, but it's got a pump. That's all good. I'm not complaining. I think this is interesting. I'm going to point out another strange thing that Maybe it's just me, but I feel like, man, I see it on camera too. Does it look like the cap leans this way? Like the bottle seems to have a curve to it. I'm just kind of baffled by it because it feels like it does, but maybe it doesn't. I can't tell. Am I losing my mind? I'm just losing my mind. Oh, these are very small pumps. All right, let's start there. Woo! It goes fast, kids. It's got a fragrance. Very mild, but maybe citrus? This blends out phenomenally easily, and there's still a decent bit of coverage. I'd say it's still light to light medium coverage. I can still see my sunspots poking through, but that was the fastest, easiest blend out I think I've ever had. Let's try the brush side. This is an interesting formula. It's a liquid, and I'm gonna fail to describe this very well, but it feels like fabric. I know, this makes no sense. I'm sorry. Maybe slightly better coverage with the brush. They're very close to even, and I think the finish looks equally nice on both sides. So I'm going to say, whatever your preference, go ahead and use a sponge or a brush. It's all good. I've got too much product out here. Let's try and see if it's buildable. They did claim that it is, and their instructions say that you should apply your first layer, and if you want more coverage, go in with additional layers. So let's try that. I'm not going to use all of this product, but I would like to get a little bit more coverage in the center of my face here, where I've got my sunspots and where my cheeks tend to have some discoloration. My chin also tends to end up red by the end of the night, so I'm just gonna do one little boop right there. Kind of like the sponge. I'm gonna go sponge. It was a little faster. This finish is beautiful. I feel like I'm getting a very nice coverage. At this point, I would call it a medium coverage. Very nice coverage. It is not emphasizing any of my wrinkles. It's not emphasizing my pores. In fact, I think I'm getting a slight blurring to my pores. I'm getting incredibly nice blurring of texture, especially on the worst side of my face. That's the nose ring side of my face. I feel like it looks nicer on my nose. It is not caking up around my nostrils like it would normally tend to do. The texture between my eyebrows does not look cakey. My forehead does not look cakey. It's not settling into lines. And it's really just pretty. I like this sort of finish. It's a, I guess it's a matte, demi-matte maybe? It's got life to it though. It's not flat at all, and it feels like absolutely nothing on the skin. Super lightweight. 11:19 a.m. Let's call the check-in time 11:20. I'm gonna go put the rest of my face on and I will be right back. I'm back. No trouble blending anything on top of this foundation whatsoever, though I did end up setting it just a slight, tiny bit because it was settling a little bit into my smile lines and my forehead lines, and I wanted to see if setting it would stop that. I set it super lightly with the Maybelline Fit Me. This is in the shade Fair. Can't lie, I also wanted to lighten up the color just a smidge, and that did stop the settling into lines. I don't think it had any impact on the finish. It still is a beautiful, beautiful finish in my humble opinion. On the rest of my face, I've got the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronzer in the shade Light. My blush is the Laura Geller Baked Blush and Brighten in the shade Tropic Hues. My highlight is the Maybelline Master Chrome. I always mess up this color. Molten Rose Gold. I'm digging the heck out of this highlighter, you guys. And my eyes are the Natasha Denona palette number 13. The only thing I don't like about this palette is that this light shade is a matte, and that's good. I need a matte light shade, but there's no light shimmer, so I do end up going into other palettes to grab something shimmery for my inner corner. I'm also trying out today for the first time the new Kat Von D brow pencil. I've got this in the shade Walnut, which is the shade that was described as dark brown to black. It's a little bit warmer toned than I would like, but I appreciate that, you know, it's just your standard micro pencil, and they didn't get fancy with the spoolie. It is just your typical, everybody knows and loves this spoolie, so I'm a fan of the design of the pencil. The packaging on the brow powder, oh gosh, I love Kat Von D packaging so much, so much. I also got this in the shade Walnut. It's got a mirror on the inside, and I picked up the powder brush. This is brush number 75, and holy cow. I'm a big fan of Kat Von D brushes to begin with. I feel like they're not just brushes. There's design and research that goes into how they craft the brush to be the most useful for applying makeup, and the little sort of divots in the brush hairs at the tip here, it's like you can run it flat ways and use powder to fill in the front of your brow with like a built-in spoolie. It's wonderful. You can also use it long ways to draw in your brows. It's the perfect density versus softness. I'm a fan of this brush. I enjoyed my first time using it. Mascara is Total Temptation as per usual, and my lip is the Sephora lip cream in shade number 33. Maybe a little too cool toned for this look, but don't care, don't care. I like it. So there you have it. We will come back in who's we? Me and the cats. Polly is laying right next to me. I'll be back in a few hours with a daylight check-in, and I'll come back at the end of the night with my final thoughts. Hey guys, we are just about the 6-hour mark, maybe 10 minutes shy, and I just got a look in terrible bathroom lighting, and my thought was that it looked, I don't know, a little masky or heavy. It doesn't feel heavy at all. Maybe, I don't know what the word is. It just didn't look as pretty as I felt like it did this morning. However, I was also in terrible bathroom lighting, and looking in the monitor right here, it doesn't look bad at all. So let me give you guys as close up as I can get. And generally overall, I like it. I think it looks very nice. I think it feels wonderful. It's almost nothing. It's very, very lightweight. I don't feel like it's drying or anything yet at this point, and we are pretty well into the day. I don't think it's settling into lines or accentuating anything that I don't want it to. So overall, I feel like it's okay. We will see how it looks tonight. I'll be back in a few hours with my final thoughts. Hello again. It is 10:44 p.m. That puts us just past the 11-hour mark. And let's see how the Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Foundation has held up. Honestly, it has held up pretty phenomenally. I don't see any wear away, really. My maybe you could like maybe see a little bit of pink coming through on my chin here. Even my nose has no wear. The product is just still there. That's pretty impressive to me. I've seen myself in a few different lighting situations today, and I think what I was noticing this afternoon, where I thought I felt like I had a mask on, is just the fact that this shade is too dark for me. That's what I was noticing, because in brighter, more natural daylight, I don't notice that sense enough or much. It is too dark for me. My face is a bit, probably a shade to 2 darker than my chest, and this is the second lightest shade, so there is one shade lighter than this, but I suspect it would probably still be a little bit too dark potentially. The feel of this foundation is very nice. Super, super, super lightweight. There's really no transfer going on. It doesn't move around. It stays put in place. It feels, I don't even want to call it slightly drying, because I think it's like a little bit less than slightly, but we're borderline. So if you have a tendency toward dry skin, this might feel slightly drying to you. My skin's in pretty good shape, so the fact that I'm feeling a little bit dry at this point means I think my skin has been dehydrated a little bit over the course of the day. And I get that both from that sort of tightness feeling and when my texture starts to like show drag lines. It's hard to explain and it's hard to get it to show up on camera, but that's kind of how I judge if something's drying or not, by how it feels and how it looks, and especially when I start to be able to see my crow's feet without wrinkling my face. That just means this area is getting dehydrated, but it's minimal. It really is pretty minimal. So I would say it's not terribly bad in terms of being a drying formula. I think it still looks very nice. The only places that are having trouble, like the texture in between my eyebrows, I'm getting separation along those movement areas, and I raise my eyebrows a lot, so there's a lot of movement that goes on here. Anywhere like around my smile lines, the product is like separating. It's not breaking down, but it's separating along those movement lines, and it's no longer doing the synchro bonding, whatever the heck they were talking about, technology. That doesn't seem to hold up very well along deeper lines and deeper texture along movement areas. So that's kind of what's going on. Let me zoom you guys in and we can take a look. Like I said, I think the product is just really stayed in place very well. I had a little bit of settling of product into my deeper chin lines, but other than that, it did not settle additionally into my smile lines. Even around my nose, there's very minimal signs of wear, and I think this might be the best any foundation has ever held up on my nostrils after 11 hours of wear. The texture on my cheeks still looks nice and smooth, but I have noticed that my pores are a little bit more visible, and my texture becomes visible when I smile or move my face, in the sense that that's the dryness kind of peeking through. I don't see any trouble with it wearing away. There's a little bit of texture between my eyebrows. My forehead still looks fine. Nothing is settling into that area. And overall, I like it. I'm not in love with it. It's a nice finish. It is very long wearing. It's very comfortable until the very late hours of the night when it starts to get a little bit drying. It doesn't settle into lines once you've kind of done the maintenance of applying it, tapping it out, setting it a little bit. I had no trouble there. But I think it's one of those foundations that's going to be a little bit iffy in terms of maturing skin or dry skin. I think you're probably going to want to test it out or make sure that you're buying it somewhere that you can return it if it doesn't work out for you, because like I said, right now I'm borderline normal to dry, and I do feel like it's a little bit drying, and because of that, I feel like it's emphasizing some of the things that make me look older, the lines and such. But that's not till the end of the, like if I was wearing this for 8 hours, I don't think I'd be having these problems, because at that point in the night, everything still was pretty much okay. The shade range is not good at all. It really excludes the far light and far dark ends. Well, it excludes the far light and everything darker than medium ends of the spectrum, which is, you know, that's a par for the course in some ways for a Japanese brand if they are not specifically targeting other cultures. But it is 2018, guys. It's 2018. I know we were founded in the 1870s, but it's 2018 now. So if I had to give a grade to the Shiseido Synchro Skin Lasting Foundation for dry, maturing skin, I'm going to go solid B. For the most part, this was a joy to wear. It is pretty. It's not the right shade for me, and I don't think the lightest shade is going to be the right shade for me either. I will continue to work with this and see how well it plays with mixing when it comes to mixing it with lighter foundations or foundation mixers to make it lighter, or how it plays with other products to help make it more hydrating, like oil booster drops, things like that. I will keep you guys posted in a future foundation follow-up. It's a nice foundation. It's not going to take the place of any of my A-rated favorites. So there you have it, Shiseido Synchro Skin. I like it, but it's not my favorite on the planet. I will keep on working with it. If I find ways to improve its performance, I will keep you guys posted. Please leave comments down below if you have suggestions for foundations you would like to see reviewed on this channel. You can always go on my website, geekoutofwater.com, and click the Foundation Fest link. I've got a sortable, searchable, ranked spreadsheet of all of my foundation reviews. There are over 80 reviews on there at this point, and you can look them all up and see the details for each one. Be sure to scroll the spreadsheet to the side. There's a lot of information on there, and it doesn't all fit in the screen as it loads. So be sure to scroll, swipe, check it out, see what's on there, request the ones you want to see. Give me a thumbs up down below if you enjoyed this foundation review, if you want to see more foundation reviews, if foundation reviews are your jam. Thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell for notifications. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.